Emma Watson has always been an activist for female empowerment and has never wanted to shy away about speaking her truth. But now she's taking on a new interest as she explains her fascination with kink culture in a new tell-all interview. What's up, y'all? I'm Emil Ennis Jr. bringing you all the breaking news updates from my in-home Clevver studio, including this latest interview with Emma Watson. There's nothing like a little kink talk to get you going on this Wednesday, aka Hump Day, and that's exactly what we're here to talk about today, but in a tasteful manner, of course. So I know you're curious about all this, but before we get into all those details, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and ring that notification bell so you never miss a news update. And now back to Emma. Is it just me, or are you even more intrigued by her point of view every time she speaks out on a certain topic? This next one is no exception, as Emma recently sat down with author of the book Sex and World Peace, Valerie Hudson, where the two talked about relationships, consent, and the Me Too movement. The interview was published in Teen Vogue and reveals some interesting and thought-provoking responses by Emma. For starters, although Emma received massive amounts of praise by her fan base after coining the term self-partnered as a fancier and healthier term for her single relationship status during an interview with British Vogue, she also opened up about the dark side of the movement she created. She told Valerie that she never intended it to become an entire movement and said that it was really interesting because it really riled some people up. Emma added, "It was less for me about the word, but more about what it meant. Just this idea that we need to reclaim language and space in order to express ourselves because sometimes it's really not there." What's more interesting was the conversation Emma and Valerie had about the importance of being in open relationships and how Emma believes that relationships that don't necessarily follow traditional models require more communication and consent. Specifically speaking, kink culture. Now, before you question or make assumptions on kink culture, I want to completely lay this out on the line for you. Kink culture is a form of non-conventional sexual taste or behavior that includes different practices and preferences. I won't go into much more detail on that, but I'm pretty sure you guys get where I'm going. Anyway, Emma's fascination in kink culture stems from the fact that this type of behavior requires strong communication and consent because of its non-traditional practices. Emma touched more on kink culture, adding, "It requires an actual conversation and agreement about the delegation of tasks and labor and responsibilities that maybe you don't feel that you need to have or should have if you follow those traditional stereotypes." That said, Emma added that some of the healthiest relationships she's seen have been between same-sex couples because, quote, "I think they have to sit down and agree on things between them as opposed to accepting certain sets of assumptions and expectations that are made." And according to Emma, people who engage in kink culture are, quote, "the best communicators ever. They know all about consent, they smash that stuff because they really have to get it, but we could all use those models. They're actually really helpful models." So are you surprised by Emma's admission about kink culture? I'm curious to hear your take on the matter, so get the conversation going right down here. But speaking of healthy relationship practices, Emma stressed that just because she believes these type of relationship practices are healthy doesn't mean that she views relationships as easy by any means. She then touched on the wildly popular yet unrealistic viewpoint, saying, "The idea that relationships are supposed to be easy and it's all supposed to be implicitly understood and you're just meant to get each other, it's bullshit. It's impossible." Also, don't think for one second that Emma believes that men are the underlying issue within relationships because of the topics she tends to speak on. Sometimes her comments can become misconstrued, as she pointed out just earlier this week. She also reminded fans who asked her why she doesn't have titles or photos changed before they go public, saying, "The reality is, it's very unusual for me to see things before they are run, or for me to get a say from publications on how pictures of me or my speech is edited. Usually you see things for the first time before I do." All in all, Emma just wants fans to know that she uses her voice with nothing but love, and that's the only way it should ever be perceived. Thankfully, many fans who've always loved Emma praised her for always speaking up and being such an inspiration, which is clearly all she meant to convey. All right, but if you have thoughts on what Emma revealed, chime in below, and then when you're done with that, click right over here to find out which TV host had the audacity to call Taylor Swift an idiot. I'm Emil Ennis Jr., and I'll see you soon right here on Clevver News.